Hello, everyone. All right. For those of you who didn't manage to make it to the IG Live, it's okay. I am re-recording this for you because my iPhone suddenly said the temperature was too hot and I cannot use it and cut me off in the middle of the stream. But so well, things happen, and yeah, let's power through this a second time tonight then. Okay, so forgive me if my energy starts to flag because this is my second round doing this, and I actually have finished a presentation on IG Live. It's just that it cut me off before I had a chance to finish up the Q&A and also to save it and to download it. So I'm re-recording this for you. Okay, so this is session 2 of this IG Live seminar on transforming your child from distracted to focused. Okay, and this is the second session. Tomorrow is the last session, and it's the most important session in my opinion. So please tune in for tomorrow or watch the replay. Okay, the replays will be up until Sunday night, so you have the whole weekend and the 4 or 5 days before that to finish it up. Okay, there is a contest. I'm not seeing many entries, and I'm getting worried. It's really easy to join, okay? Win a scholarship into an Elephant Tribe, which is a parenting and teaching membership. All you have to do, 3 steps, is to share this seminar. Okay, in fact, you just need to share this picture, and this picture can be found, this picture can be found on the Elephant Box IG feed 4 or 5 squares back. So you just have to scroll and look for it. And then just click that. There's a little paper aeroplane button or something that says send, and you can share it on your stories or your feed and tell us, okay, tell us if you're liking it and why you're liking it. All right. And then tag us at Elephant Box. You should get a response from me. Either I will give you a heart, or I'll say okay, or something. If you don't hear from me, it means that I haven't seen it, and maybe your account is set to private and I can't see it. So set your account to public so that I can acknowledge your entry, and then you can switch it back to private. Okay. All right, I'm going to start with a question that is on my child, or on the child, so as to serve as a quick recap for us from yesterday's session as well. Okay, this question is from Amelia. My son, 5-year-old, is easily distracted while doing the online school. He keeps on making conversation with me, or do something else with the pencils or book or anything near him. Okay, so I would like to assure you, Amelia, if your child can focus for about 8 to 10 minutes, okay, because he's 5 years old, then he's perfectly fine. Fiddling is not considered as not focusing. Okay, in fact, fiddling may even help him to focus better. So you can just do a quick test the next time, ask him a few questions to see whether he is really paying attention. If he is, then I think it's fine to let him fiddle, and let him just play, and that keeps his focus on. Okay, in fact, ADHD kids, not saying your child is ADHD, okay? But I'm saying in general, ADHD kids focus better when they are given a chance to bounce or to fiddle with a fidget cube. And in fact, Montessori says kids learn through movement. So I'm going to talk a bit more about that later, okay? And I also want to just put things in perspective for all of us. Is learning through the screen developmentally appropriate? Or age appropriate? Actually, no. Research shows kids learn way better, and they return much more information through face-to-face interaction with a caregiver, with an adult, rather than through screens. For example, like there's a whole generation of kids or parents who bought into this whole idea of Baby Einstein videos, right? That they bought for their kids, hoping to raise genius babies. But actually, the research shows that there is no difference with watching these videos or not. In fact, the kids who spend so much time in front of the TV screens, babies who spend so much time in front of the TV screens, were worse off than kids or babies who just had face-to-face, back and forth interaction with their parents. Okay, and even there are many expensive online business programs nowadays that people pay top dollar for, and these people who enroll in these programs are highly motivated, highly disciplined individuals. And even then, the completion rate of these business programs are about 50%. 50%. Can you imagine that adults, all right, adults who invest in these programs don't even complete it because of the nature of it being online, and also a lack of accountability, etc. Right? But the most effective, or the more effective business programs recognize this, and they actually cut all their videos into 10-minute clips. 10 to 15-minute clips, because they know that's pretty much the attention span of somebody who is learning online through a screen. And in fact, that is how I structure Elephant Tribe too. In Elephant Tribe, I used to do like an hour master classes, all right? But I realized like busy moms have no time to sit through an hour of master classes, right? So I realized that, and therefore I have been working to cut each video into 1 or 2 learning points, short and sharp, so that there's a quick application at the end of it. So you get to you don't spend so much time watching the videos and learning, and rather spend more time in implementing and doing the practical parts instead. Okay, so let's come back to our topic for today, which is preparing the environment. Okay, let's come back to just a quick recap of what we covered yesterday. My main point yesterday about the child, remember the three vertices of the Montessori framework, right? The child, the parent, and the prepared environment. So yesterday we talked about the child, and I wanted to focus that every child can focus, every child can concentrate. And through concentration, he learns, he practices, he achieves mastery, and he builds confidence and self-esteem. So the most important 2 values, or most important 2 traits, character traits for success, right? I mentioned is grit and conscientiousness. And together with all the other good values and morals that we want to inculcate in our children, these values are caught from mentors and influenced by the environment. 2 other important components in the success of our kids, in the well-being of our kids, is actually the other 2 vertices of the Montessori triangle, which is the prepared parent, or the parent, and the prepared environment. So today we're going to be talking about the environment. Okay, the first thing we want to do with the environment is that we want to declutter. Okay, if your environment is already so cluttered and so many things and so overly stimulating, then it is not helpful for the child. In fact, it is triggering, and it just creates a sense of disorder, and the whole environment becomes so triggering that he's not able to concentrate, and he's not able to focus his energies. The irony is that most of our homes, most of our kids have way too many toys and way too many things for them to really focus. And we think that by giving our kids many things, many learning resources, many toys, we are blessing them with these physical things. But the fact is that the more things our kids have, and the more disorderly the environment is, the more they are so overly stimulated and they cannot focus on the task at hand. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to declutter. And I have my environment here. In fact, this is my bookshelf that has gone way out of line over 9 years. It used to be pretty orderly, and then things got out of hand as the kids came along, and I got busy, and we just started like stuffing everything into every crevice and corner. So I decided that I wanted to start with one small area. So I had to declutter my bookshelf to make it a pleasant bookshelf, pleasant space for books for my kids. Okay, and so I did a Marie Kondo thing, which is to pull everything off the shelves and keep it empty and put them on the floor. So it took me a couple of days to really get through everything, and I was forced to keep doing it and keep at that task because it was just littering my floor, and there's no space for anyone to walk. Okay, and so if I can give you any advice from my experience, is that it's good to prepare about 4 bags. Okay, One is to, then you can sort them into 4 piles. One is to throw, one is to keep back on the shelf, one is to keep in storage, and one is to donate. So this is my end product. I'm pretty happy with it. And this was a couple of labels that I put, some IKEA boxes, so that all the kids like barang and stuff can go into them, and it's near my door. So every time we go out, they can pull out that box and they find their bags and their wallets and whatnot, and then off we go. Okay, so it's like a kind of like a walkway, hallway for us. Yeah. Okay. So the second thing you want to do is to order your environment or order your items. So you want to make sure every category of thing has a set space, has a set space on the shelf or in whatever space you have that you are ordering. Okay, and because this way you can put in a proper label, and your child and okay, so you want to order your environment, okay, order your shelf with labels, so your kids and your spouse know exactly where things should go. Okay, you want to create a print-rich environment as well at the same time, because this is a perfect time to do it, since you're already creating labels, right, for every category. So if your child is very young, you may want to include pictures in it, but you definitely want to include the English vocabulary words as well as your mother tongue words. Why? Because this is a great way to encourage your child to look, especially at mother tongue words, because there's so little mother tongue print available in Singapore in the environment that your child can actually see Chinese words. They can actually see Malay or Tamil printed letters, right? Almost everything is in English. I mean, English is the dominant language nowadays for us, for most of us here. And so we want our kids to be able to associate the concrete object to the picture, to the word, right? So having these labels with all three pictures, English and mother tongue words, is a great way to improve the print richness of our environment. Okay, and the second thing we do is to remove distractions. So you want to check to see if the work area has any distractions, and we want to move these distractions to the playroom or the play area. For example, are there many toys lying around? Are there computer games or iPads lying around? And maybe you'll need to put away your phone for 10 minutes while your child is working. Because like for my child, okay, my baby, if she sees me on the phone, doesn't matter if I'm working or if I'm playing a game, she will say she wants to see, she wants to touch, or she wants her turn, right? And then it breaks her concentration from whatever activity she's doing on hand. The same thing. So for us, we live in a 4-room HDB flat. Okay, the space is pretty small, but at the same time, I have demarcated my area into the living room. Has a big dining table, and that's where my kids will do their work. And all their toys have been shifted into their bedrooms. So on a good day where there are no toys sprawling about, it's actually distraction free and clutter free. So that's good for the kids because they're not distracted by all the things lying around, especially my boy, who can really play with anything and everything. Okay. Okay. Another thing that you may want to do is to demarcate a work area by using a mat. Okay. Montessori practitioners are crazy about mats and trays. Okay. Those Daiso trays that we can find because they give a strong visual boundary, a strong visual representation of where their work is, and all their work should be on that mat, and whatever is not on the mat is not their work. And so it helps the child to focus because it's very visual, it's very clear. Everything on the mat, they focus on those things. Everything outside of the mat is they are able to block those out. And that's why in a Montessori preschool, you will see kids, tens of kids being able to focus on their work simultaneously when they are all concentrating on their own work area and their own workspaces. Okay, so that's something we may want to, you can consider replicating in your home. Of course, there will be a period of training involved that you want to train your child to bring the mat, put the work on the mat, work on the mat, and then keep stuff back where they belong. Okay, let's get to another question since we're on this topic. Okay, Priscilla says, sometimes when we do puzzles or worksheets or an activity, would I be able to get her to focus and not get distracted by other toys or activities? Is that possible at the age of 3 years old? I would say yes, it's possible. Just bear in mind, adjust your expectations that 3-year-old can probably only focus about 4, 5, 6 minutes. Okay, longer she can go, maybe 15 minutes. You want to put a few activities out only and keep the rest away for another day. I would say maybe 3-year-old, 2 or 3 activities, you can put it out and let her choose. As I've mentioned, you don't want to put too many activities out because it is overly stimulating and she doesn't know what to choose, when to choose, and she may just end up mixing everything together, okay? But you also don't want to just give her one because then she wouldn't have a choice, right? And you want to give her choice because choices increase their inner motivation. So when she chooses the activity, more or less she is interested in it and therefore she will focus longer on it. As mentioned, have a designated work area or mat, and then you want to train her to finish the whole activity. So you have to sit beside her from start to finish. Okay, help her to finish if she doesn't want to, or at least you finish it up for her in front of her. Model finishing up the activity. Then keep the activity and put it back where it belongs before you let her pull out a new one. So over time, she will understand that this is a whole sequence of events that she has to finish the activity, or at least if she doesn't finish, at least she has to pack it up and put it back before she can pull out a new one. Okay, so when we the third thing that we do is we want to instate a predictable yet flexible routine. So this is my Saturday schedule. I will explain a bit how this predictable yet flexible routine works. In the morning, after breakfast, we will do our household chores, okay, and then we'll have lunch. And then after lunch is downtime for me and the baby because I need my afternoon nap. The baby fights hers, but I put her down anyway. So we have an afternoon nap, and sometimes my husband joins us. If not, he and the older kids will do something quiet. They will play some games, or the older kids will read a book. Basically, they can do whatever they want as long as they know the rules. They don't play with knives and dangerous stuff, and they keep it down, keep the volume down. Then just before dinner, we will go outdoors, either to the playground or the park nearby, and then after dinner, after a bath, we come back. And we play indoor games. So there is flexibility within these blocks, these large blocks. So like for downtime, they have the freedom to choose whatever they want to do. And even outdoors time, they can pick to go to the park, to the playground, to wherever, they can playground hop and whatnot. And then indoor play time, they can choose their games as well. So if let's say it's a special Saturday and maybe we want to go further out to Sentosa in the morning, then we will tell the kids that, hey, okay, let's swap the blocks around then. So in the morning, we will go to Sentosa, but that means the outdoor time in the evening will be meant for chores, something like that. Okay, so therefore the kids know that these are the set blocks that has to happen, and there is flexibility within those blocks. Okay, so a routine really helps to a young child to keep order of his or her life, okay? Because it's not easy to be a young kid where they don't have control over their time, and everything, their whole day is determined by an adult. But if there is a routine to it, there is a kind of predictability to his day, then he or she is able to preempt certain things and able to plan or control some of his time. And as the child grows older, he's able to decide and dictate how he wants to spend his time a bit more autonomously. And that is always good for his decision, for a child's development of the decision making and the prefrontal cognition part of decision making. Okay, so after we have decluttered, after we have cleared and put in a predictable routine, it's kind of like we're working on a blank slate now, right? Now it's time to put in new activities. And what kind of activities do we want to put in? Okay, we always want to start with things that will interest our kids, activities that will interest our kids. Okay, so no matter what materials or activities you choose, there are two principles that you want to bear in mind. Number one is that these materials or these paintings or these books ideally should be at eye level for the child. So it is at his level, he doesn't have to crane his neck, it is accessible to him. Secondly is accessibility and usability. It means that if you want your child to be sweeping, then maybe you can consider getting him a child-sized broom that he can handle with ease. So the whole idea is to give him and empower your child to use things that he can comfortably use at his small size, so that you empower him to do the activities independently, and he doesn't always need to rely on an adult to help him do the things that he naturally is motivated to do. Okay, so the more we think about the child's perspective, from the child's perspective, and the more we adjust some of these things to suit the child, then the child will feel very empowered, the child will be very motivated, and he'll be able to do some of these things on his own. And over time, with practice, he will get better and better at some of these things, okay? Okay, so you want to also put in hands-on activities. I think today I had a post that went out that talked about things to do with, okay, you want the child to do hands-on activities as well as much as possible, because it's just interactive and it's real to him. So for example, you want to marry the child's interest with a hands-on activity. If your child is very much into cars, okay, and you want to do a counting activity with him, then you can gather some of his cars and then do 2 + 3, 2 cars plus 3 cars, and then get him to move the cars around, manipulate it or add it, put them together so that he can count them. And therefore that creates a bit more interest in that dry academic activity that you want him to do. Life activities, there is something very magical about practical life activities, because it is so real and tangible, and the kids just feel really good about creating something with their. Okay, I think practical life activities is the underrated member of the Montessori family, and I think that it's so foundational. Really, it's so real, it's so tangible, and it's so accessible to the little toddler, little baby, that it all the activities there have purposes. Okay, that build not only their motor skills, okay, or their strength in their hands and their fingers and their little bodies, but also it builds their self-confidence. Because when they can do a lot of these practical life activities on their own, it shows them and adults around them, and amazes adults around them, that they can do a lot of stuff. They can clean, they can take care of themselves, they can dress themselves, they can feed themselves, they can take care of the environment. They can do many things, and therefore that creates a really healthy sense of self-esteem and self-concept. Okay, I wanted to share a story about my son. Okay, at 5 years old, he was really into computer games and computer game characters, that he would often be playing out all these storylines in his head. And I felt I couldn't get him to do anything. It wouldn't interest him, okay, if it wasn't to do with a computer game character or like Plants vs. Zombies. And he was just talking about guns, he's talking about all these zombies, and I just felt I couldn't reach him at all. And so I was pretty desperate, I guess, and I decided to, okay, this has to stop. So I wanted to expose him more to some hands-on activities. I could do cooking, or I could do housework, because those are practical life activities as well. But I just wanted to try something different with him, something both of us are new to, so that it can be a bonding experience for us as well. So I went to, I guess it was like inspiration, divine inspiration. But this word woodworking popped into my mind, okay? And I don't even know about this term, but I went to look it up on Google, and it turns out that there is such a thing called woodworking. It's just working with wood, okay, crafting with wood. And there's an organization called Ground Up Initiative. It's remodeled Bottle Tree Park at Khatib, at Yishun, Lorong Chencharu, right? So there's this workshop that opened up just at that time, and it was like a parent-child bonding session as well. So it was a teaser class, and I went with him. It was 2 hours, and then he made a wooden pool toy for Ariel. So from then on, I felt that there was just a switch that kind of flipped, and it just kind of like got better. I don't know. Something just happened that day. I think it was because the activity really appealed to his hands-on nature. He's not the academic sort, he's not like maybe his sister, who is good at writing or math or just doing all the worksheet kind of work. He's not. He hates writing to this day, and reading is like it's going to kill him or something. But he loves and he's good at all these hands-on activities. And that day, I think he really felt that he felt that I treated him like a grown-up. I think he felt empowered because he was encouraged to use all the tools on his own. He was working with nails, with hammers, with screws, with a power drill. That was really fun because it was like a gun, right? And he's wearing this like goggles and gloves, protective gloves and all that. So it really, I think the stakes were high as well, because he knew that these were tools. These were powerful tools that were dangerous. And he was definitely focused on using them safely. And he felt that he was like a grown-up. And he felt empowered. So I think from then on, it was just his confidence just grew leaps and bounds. And even today, till today, we would call him Handyman Zach, because he's the one who will take care of all the repair work in our home. Like if I have a trolley to be set up, he would say, "I'll help," and then we would set it up together. And he would do all the screwing of the nails in with a screwdriver and all that. And even his sisters would say, "Hey Zach, can you fix my toy?" You go get this toolbox, change the batteries and all that, and then do all that kind of repair work. So I felt that so practical life activities, because it's so real, so tangible. He's actually using his hands to make something out of nothing, right? And that is naturally motivating, and that's naturally very exciting for a young child. So if you don't want to do woodworking, do something that your child might like. For example, cooking, working with knives, in a safe way, of course, and frying or stirring over a stove or an induction hob. And see that sense of satisfaction when they create something and they present it to you and say, "Hey, I made this myself." And of course you will be encouraging, and you will praise him, and you will praise his effort, and that will be such a positive experience for the child and for you as well. Okay, there are certain things that I would say are good for your child to explore. Anything that has to do with creating is generally good. Okay, woodworking, cooking, sewing, crafting, even building sculptures with Lego bricks, working with your magnet tiles. What else? The safer wooden blocks, or your Grimm's rainbows and all that. Whatever it is that's constructing something or building something is generally good. What is not good is like sitting in front of a TV passively, although I know my child too can focus at a TV program for hours, right? but it's not good for them because their brains are not really moving or not really working. They're just passively receiving all these visual stimulation, and therefore that these are not good activities for your child to focus on for way too long. Well, the questionable thing is maybe about like coding. Is coding a good activity? I guess so, because they are creating something, right, with blocks of code on a computer. But is playing computer games good or good for them? I'm not too sure. I guess it depends on the kind of game as well. Some games maybe involve math or language, and they have to solve puzzles with their knowledge, perhaps. But that's still passively receiving content, right? Receiving content and interacting with the set content. He's not really like creating something from scratch. Yeah. So I don't know. It's pretty. It's kind of a gray area there. But I think you know what I mean when what are clearly the good creative activities and what are clearly the passive activities. Okay, the next part is that we want to consider if the activities your child is doing is too simple. So maybe he needs the next step of difficulty. So like this middle child of mine, okay? So when we let him do the hands-on stuff, okay, using the tools, using grown-up materials or grown-up tools, he actually feels really, really good, okay? And I'll let you in on a secret, okay? The ability to focus on an activity actually expands to other areas. Yes, even the academic activities later on. Why? Because he feels empowered. He feels good. He does something and he feels it's meaningful and tangible, okay? And he tastes the rewards immediately and derives satisfaction. And he sees the point of it, okay? And he feels valued, and that raises his self-confidence and self-efficacy. If you don't know the difference between the two, self-confidence is the feeling that you can do a task, okay? So it's a good feeling. But self-efficacy is that conviction, that belief that a person can surmount all difficulties to complete the task. And you know everything is figure-outable. So that's the conviction we want to imbue in our kids. It's fine even if you don't know everything, but we can always figure it out. And we want our kids to know that they have mentors. They have us to figure it out with them. They have resources like books and websites, and all sorts of resources at their disposal. The point is they can surmount these difficulties, and they will at the end of the day if they put in the effort to do it. Okay, and play, art and craft, paint, messy play, creative play, sports and games are all great activities to help the child focus, because these activities are inherently motivating and there's a clear endpoint and euphoria to be derived, like winning. Okay, but even if your child loses, there are lessons to be taught and learned, like resilience. Okay, like we can, like, okay, this picture here, right? During circuit breaker, our family, we taught the kids how to play Settlers, and they love it. Okay, so every afternoon they'll be asking to play Settlers. Sometimes 9 out of 10 times my son will lose because there's some problem with his strategy. I mean, naturally, right? I mean, he can't, we're adults, right? And his sister is 9 years old. So I think naturally we'll be able to think a few steps ahead, or to have a bit more logic in our positioning. Okay, basically it's like just a better strategy than him. So 9 out of 10 times he will lose, and then you can see his face. Sometimes he will cry, okay, sometimes he will throw a tantrum. But these are all lessons to be learned, right? And sometimes he'll be okay with it, but he'll still ask to play. He'll still ask to play the game. So we think that we encourage him because he's resilient in that sense, in that aspect. And what's important is that my husband will actually do a post-game analysis with him every time, and he will walk him through, why did you put this piece here? What is the rationale behind this? And he will listen to him and then say, oh, that's good thinking. Unfortunately, there's also some luck involved in this game and your numbers didn't come out, etc. Or he will say, can you think of another way to do this, to achieve this goal? So when we do processing like these with our kids, we're helping them see various possibilities, and this kind of mentoring is helpful for them. Yeah, and I will share more with this tomorrow in tomorrow's session about the role of a parent and how we can step into that mentoring role for our kids. Okay, I have a question here from Ting Ting. I have a 6-year-old son and we can play board games now, like Monopoly, and he can play Lego for 20 minutes straight or slightly more. How to expand this to academic topics? Ting Ting, as I mentioned just, that don't worry, the focus from what he starts off with will be able to expand to other areas. The thing that you have to do is to continue to engage him in the activities he loves, because that's the starting point. That's where you want to build up his self-confidence, right? And then you try to continue to coach him and encourage him. Like you would say things like, hey, remember the time when you built your Lego for 20 minutes and your structure just kept falling, but you didn't throw a tantrum. You put the pieces back up and you carried on building and tried different ways to be creative to solve the problem. I think that was really good. How about you use those strategies to solve this maths problem now? Something like that. Yeah. So basically you want to encourage him and to help him believe, help him remember the times where things were hard, but yet he picked himself up, and how he can draw strength from that and apply it into a new situation. The other thing is to set clear boundaries and standards. So for example, if you decide, okay, you want him to work up to 1 worksheet a day, because you said that you want to expand this to his academic topics, right? And maybe academic activities. So maybe from 0 worksheet, you want him to do 1 worksheet a day. And this shouldn't, he's 6 years old. So don't make this too hard for him. Maybe a worksheet that is just maybe like 10 minutes, he can complete it, that sort of thing, or even 5 minutes. And if he's working himself up to that standard and he does it comfortably already, don't keep shifting the bar. Otherwise, it's very demotivating for the child, because it's always like a goalpost that keeps shifting. He doesn't know when he meets the standard. He doesn't know when he's arrived. And he doesn't know when he can feel happy. Because once he reaches 1 worksheet a day, and then mommy says, oh, good, you reached 1 worksheet, then I give you another worksheet. So it's 2 worksheets a day. So it becomes like, why am I being punished for achieving something? Then that demotivates him, and then he would feel, what's the point? What's the point of doing 1 worksheet well, because mommy's just gonna give me more, right? So do this or evaluate this standards maybe half a year, 1 year. So if K2, he's doing 1 worksheet a day and he's comfortable at it, even it gets a bit easy towards the end of the year, don't change, but tell him, hey, primary 1 will evaluate this again, okay? And I think you can do something more challenging. Let's work it up to 2 worksheets a day, something like that. Okay, and he must agree, right? If not, then y'all just negotiate and come to a compromise and a mutually agreeable decision. Okay, I'm coming to the end. So the last 2 is about movement and putting a time limit to it, okay? Our kids need to move. It is one of the major needs of childhood. Have you noticed that your child is super irritable and cranky or bouncing all over during circuit breaker? The reason is because there wasn't enough opportunities for him to get out and move. And kids need to move to learn. That's what Montessori highly believes, okay? And she feels that kids, and the more they move their hands, the more they move their bodies, the better they learn. And this is how my son does his work. Okay, I couldn't find a good picture. I was trying to the whole afternoon, but yeah, I will find it and then show it to you guys, okay? But basically, he puts his leg up on the table and stands on the floor, okay? Puts his 1 leg up on the table and he does his work that way. As an ex-teacher, it drives me crazy, but I know as a mom, our kids endure a lot of restrictions in school already, okay? Especially if your child is in a traditional preschool, or more or less, or even in primary school, more or less, they really are subjected to a lot of regimentation. Everybody must sit down, everybody must line up, everybody must stand up straight, everybody must sit most of the time to listen to the teacher. So when they come home, if you don't let them let loose, if you don't let them move, if you don't let them bounce around a bit, then they have a lot of pent up energy that isn't released, and that's suffocating for them, and it makes life difficult for you as well. Okay, so I've learned that I can let him do work whatever way he wants, stand up, sit down, lie down, as long as he's doing his work, or I can scold him and quarrel with him and still his work won't get done. So it's a choice I make, and it's up to you as well. Okay, so I'm happy to let him do the work however he wants, as long as his handwriting is neat, as long as he is doing the work and learning. Okay, yeah, and another technique or another thing that increases their focus fast is to give them a timer or a time limit. Nothing works better than to get them to focus than by saying, in 10 minutes time, we are going to the playground. If you're not finished your work in 10 minutes, you won't get to go. Okay, in fact, this just happened yesterday. My son came back. It was a public holiday, right? Yeah, my son came home, then realized that he has 听写. And so he was like, no, I don't want to learn 听写. And he like raged and yelled and threw a tantrum for an hour and refused to settle down and study. And I told him, it's okay, it's fine. 5 o'clock, we are going to the playground. If you're not done by then you won't go. Okay, and he knows I mean business, and I have carried out that threat before. So at 4:55, he decided finally he will settle down and learn. And his father came out and say, are you ready? Not ready? Then he says, no, mommy says she will bring me down after I finish. So after, in about 10 minutes was all it took for him to learn his 听写. Then I tested him once, he had 2 corrections, he did them, and then we went down to the playground. So no need to yell or nag or scream or sit with your kid and force him physically to do the work. Just ask him, do you want to do it now or later? If it's later, fine, but there is a consequence, right? There's also a consequence if you choose later. And then as long as you carry out that consequence and he knows you mean business, like most likely or not, he will learn how to manage himself and to get the work done. Okay, I have one question from Mei Xian. He would have his lunch, her son would have his lunch and some screen time after that. Thereafter, after that, he will start on his home schoolwork or learning, but he would not be able to sit still at the table. And Mei Xian also clarified with me that he actually can learn. It's just that she doesn't want him bouncing around, moving around too much because it's after lunch. Okay, so my answer to you, Mei Xian, is to let him take a break. Okay, I'll talk about the third point first. Okay, so let him move and have freedom where he wants to do his work, but he must do it. Okay, and it's okay to let him move around, and you can explain to him he can walk around but not jump around. You want to explain to him the biological reasons for your worries, that you don't want him to get an appendicitis, or a stomach upset, okay, because and explain the biology behind it. So to make him understand your rationale. It's not that you want to restrain him, but it's for health reasons and for the good, for his good, that you don't want him to be bouncing around or jumping around too much. But he can move. He can move as long as his body feels okay. All right. And my suggestion is to let him take a break, but not give him screen time before the work. My personal experience, it may not be the case for you, so I'm just putting it out there. But my experience is once I let my kids take a break by watching TV, it never ends. And it often ends up in a power struggle with them switching off, with me insisting they switch off, but they say, no, one more show, 15 more minutes, blah, 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 cry, and then no work gets done or until very much later. So if that's the case for you, then no screen time, leave the screen time for later after the work is done. So at least everybody is a bit more chill, and he can watch, he can watch at the time for the time limit that you have set for him. Okay, so yes, it's time to take action, guys. Look through the checklist in your workbook. Okay, it's just a one page. I just listed a lot of things you can do to prepare your environment. I don't expect you to do all of them, but look through the list and decide one or two actions you want to take this weekend or this week. You can go for the lowest lying fruit, hanging fruit, like something easy that's the easiest for you to do, and so that you can check it off and that makes you feel good, right? Sign up. The link is in my bio at Elephant Box, or I'll put the link up in the email also. Oh no, in the YouTube channel. Okay, so if you haven't gotten the workbook, you can download it when you sign up through the link. Okay, and then you can snap a picture of your chosen action items and then tag us at Elephant Box to get bonus entries to the contest. All right. Okay, this is actually the second time I'm doing this presentation tonight, and I'm sorry. I apologize if I've been a bit laggy at times or stuttery, because I'm thinking and my brain is just failing me. But I hope this has been helpful for you guys, and I know it's a lot of things, but just go through the checklist, and I think most of it will be quite self-explanatory. Okay, and as usual, if I have not answered your questions, or if you have more questions for me, just slide a DM to me or send me an email and I'll try to answer them. If I can't answer them tomorrow, I will definitely reply you through email or voice message, whatever it's easier, I guess. All right, and I'll see you tomorrow for the final session, 10 p.m. on IG. I've got to think of a way to tech-proof this terrible scenario, like if I get cut off from Instagram again tomorrow. So anyway, I will see you tomorrow at 10 p.m. on Instagram. Bye-bye.